Welcome, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. We're really excited that all of you could join us today. And for those who couldn't make it and wanted to be here, if you know somebody, just let them know that the session is going to be recorded and we're going to put it on the SAMO Fund YouTube page, as well as our SAMO Fund website. Hopefully by next Saturday. So just be on the lookout, the SAMO Fund YouTube page and the SAMO Fund website. Santa Monica Mountains Fund is an organization that collaborates a lot with National Park Service. I'm part of Santa Monica Mountains Fund, and we collaborate on trail work, nursery and restoration work, among many, many other projects. And we're here today in this career panel, thanks to our Oxnard Young Ecologists. Shout out to Oye, hey! They are a group of high school students who collaborate a lot with us here at the nursery on their weekends during their school year. And we wanted to extend this opportunity for the general public, why can't we all benefit from an opportunity like this? So we're really excited that all of you could make it. And we want to extend our gratitude to all of the speakers who are also here today, taking their time to share their resources on how they got where they are and how we can make progress in the world of restoration. A huge thanks also to Jaya Oibi and Mike Farah for their input. Their creative input in the slides and in the flyers that went out to the public to spread the word. As I mentioned, the purpose of this career panel is for us to pull each other up, understand where we can find opportunities, what different organizations exist, and how we can navigate to get to the jobs that we want.
And while we are super enthusiastic to share involvement in restoration and hopefully inspire you to consider work in the field for yourself, we want to bring attention to the nuanced and often violent history of environmental work that continues to manifest itself in the forms of exclusivity and marginalization, among other things. This is a topic that we can discuss at length, but for now, I'll leave you with this. Meaningful work in the trajectory to diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice means the challenging and questioning of ecological restoration convention. So the way we do things now, the way they've always been done, we want to challenge those ideas.
Right, thank you, Olivia. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our very first speaker, Jessica Fernandez. Huge welcome. Jessica obtained a Bachelor's of Science degree from UC Santa Barbara. She participated in various internships throughout the Bay Area before obtaining her current position as part of the horticultural department at Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, where she manages the Living Collections Nursery. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Again, I'm Jessica, and I studied environmental studies in Bachelor of Science in Santa Barbara, so UC Santa Barbara, and I graduated back in 2018. I feel like my experience has been a little bit all over the place with the environmental field, kind of not really knowing what I want to do, but feeling very called to doing something in the environment and reclaiming and reconnecting with knowledge that's been kind of stolen and taken away, especially from my lineage of people. And so I feel like I've done anything from working on a farm and learning a lot of educational farm, especially since as someone who wasn't really given the opportunity to get exposed to the outdoors. It was really, really important for me to learn about the land and to learn about what we're eating and everything, because I never had access to that or never really knew and where food would come from. And so learning that was really, really helpful. And there I got exposed to more youth who had similar experiences to myself. And there I think I started realizing how important it was for me to make sure that everything I was doing was going back to the communities, especially BIPOC youth and communities that I grew up in. Other things that I've also done was doing a lot of like water quality and soil quality. I thought I wanted to be an environmental quality scientist, so a lot of my classes were very much focused on chemistry and physics. So like toxicology, ecotoxicology, meaning kind of what pollutants are in the environment and how it's impacting people and other living organisms and whatnot. And that was, I loved the classes and everything, but I realized that the path that would take me on wasn't necessarily what I want to do at the moment. But I did try and get some exposure to what that would look like out in the real world. I wanted to be the scientist that would sue all the corporations for polluting the water, polluting the air. And I realized I wasn't really a fan of chemistry. It was really hard. And so I did a water quality sampling and testing with the wildlife biologist at San Francisco Airport, which I had no idea. All airports have a biologist, a wildlife biologist. It just blew my mind. Although being in San Francisco, this biologist was very, very concerned with the rare and endangered San Francisco garter snake, which is a beautiful turquoise blue snake, and also the California red-legged frog. So a lot of my exposure there to like what rare and endangered meant was really through there. And so she was involved in a lot of environmental law as well, being a airport. They're doing a lot of construction and development continuously. So what was her way of kind of mitigating that and making sure that she was protecting all the important ecosystems and the other organisms that are in the area. So she let me do my own little research there. And so I studied the water quality of the little vernal pools or wetlands that the frogs inhabit. And that was really neat. I got to work alongside all the chemists and hydrologists that clean the water for SFO. Like SFO is its own city basically, and they have their own water treatment facility, and I got to kind of work by them, and that was a really great I think segue into that. SFO tends to have really good internships, I'd say, in anything in the environmental, whether it's environmental law or more policy minded versus, or also more community oriented, and also what I did, wildlife. So that was really neat. And then my last year at UCSB, I still had a few extra credits to take in units. So I didn't really want to be in the classroom anymore. And I decided to do an ecological field study in Peru. And this was focused on ecological conservation. I had zero backpacking and camping experience. And so to just be thrown out in the middle of the Amazon rainforest was terrifying. But I mean, I surrounded by a lot of knowledgeable and skilled folks. It was really rough, I think, just being someone that wasn't exposed to that kind of lifestyle or recreational activities. So it was really, really hard. But I think my professor allowed me to kind of vocalize that and express how this was all new to me and terrifying, and I had no idea what I was doing. It was really neat. Just hiking in the middle of the rainforest at like midnight, because that's when the frogs were all out. I was studying frogs at the time, but then we also had other people that were focusing on botany and on birds. So that was really neat. I think something that I was picking up along with all these experiences that I've had is I wanted everything to be very interdisciplinary, so bringing in different things of everything. And this ecological conservation course and field study really allowed me to kind of develop those research skills, which are really important, I think, in just being able to kind of present that, especially when looking into jobs or into other internships, anything that offers, I'd say, your ability or an opportunity to do some sort of research or support in the research, I think is really, really key in a lot of the things that I've been doing. Yeah. And then my last recent, I think, internship that kind of is stabilizing me at the moment was with plants, California native plants, and focusing on a restoration native plant nursery up in the Bay Area with the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy. And you can think of it as like all national parks have their nonprofit kind of sister. And so the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy is that nonprofit to a lot of the national parks up in the Bay Area, including Muir Woods, the Presidio, and some other, even I think even some points of Point Reyes. So there's just different parts. And so the Conservancy helps do that. And I focused on the nursery program. I really appreciate, I think, the organization, as they are trying very hard to make sure that not only are they doing the whole DEI, because that seems to be really cool right now for everyone, but really actually doing the work and making sure that they're providing opportunities and like actual support throughout the whole time that folks are there, whether that's mental health, economic, just in general safety, I think, especially with folks that have experienced things differently than the folks that are probably in power. So that was really, really great. It's also queer. The CEO is queer, and so that was really helpful. That kind of set the tone for me of everywhere that I go now, that everywhere should be that way. But yeah, they provide a lot of great internships all over, and I think that's what I really liked. Anything from volunteer programs to again, kind of restoration depending on the wildlife or the plants. A lot of folks do focus on community engagement too, educational. There's a whole wide of internships through the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy. And if you go on their website, you can find the whole list of things that are on there. I think I know right now the nursery that I was working at is currently hiring an assistant. And something that they also emphasize is making sure that these positions are available and accessible to folks that are also possibly transitioning careers. I think that can be really scary too. Not feeling kind of pigeonholed into one thing and having the opportunity to be able to kind of explore other things. At least that's really important for me, is being able to kind of navigate different things. And that's what I feel like I do currently at the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, where I grow all the plants for the garden itself, the Botanic Garden, and for the conservation research teams, and then for other contracts for restoration or mitigation. And so that's been really fun. I've been there for 2+ years now, and I think my general like native plant path has been maybe a little bit 4 years. So it's not that long, and it definitely feel the whole imposter syndrome of like, oh, I don't really know that much, or all these other people know so much. My predecessor was there for 14 years, so it was a lot to step into. But I think surrounding myself by people that really supported me and believed in me was really, really beneficial. So I think that's good on time. Yeah.
Cool. If anybody wants to ask questions, you can put them in the chat and we can read them out for you. Thank you, Jessica. That was awesome.
I think everybody also has the power to unmute themselves, so you could just feel free to unmute and ask your question.
We have a question in the chat. Nubia is asking, how did you find out about these opportunities?
Ooh, online. So when I was at UCSB, I went on the website on my department's environmental studies department, and they had a list of organizations that were around Santa Barbara that were offering either volunteer opportunities or internship opportunities. I do want to acknowledge that I had the huge privilege of not having or needing to work when I was in college. And I know that can also be a big barrier to actually doing these internships. So I was fortunate enough to be able to volunteer and do that for free. But internship programs, I mainly did summer ones. And so just contacting people. And when I wouldn't get a response, I would actually contact a lot of the CEOs or the executive directors if I wasn't receiving any responses. Just being very persistent and being very honest with my experiences.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions for you. Someone asked, how would we go about internships in SF if we live far away? Do they help with moving costs?
Yeah, so fortunately, most of the internships for the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, they offer housing. So that was a huge plus for me, was that it offered housing. And I think most internships, I wasn't just taking any of them that seemed ideal. I did have to consider the housing and would I move there and how would that look like? I am from the Bay Area, so it was a little bit easier, I think, for me, just being up there. But that their programs do provide housing. I don't know if because of COVID things have changed, but that's how it was for us.
And then last question, what do you recommend for folks that would work part-time and do school part-time?
Yeah, that's a really rough one. I think I hope other folks here have experience like working, but if you are able, I know some internships throughout the school year, they did provide a stipend. I know that was one way of me kind of bringing in money, but if you are working part-time and other things, whenever you just get the chance, just talking to people and getting in communication with folks, even if you're not able to do something or exchange like your energy and time to them, even just approaching these people and just being curious about what they do, what it's like, because even then that's helping you make those connections.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That was the last question.
Yes.
Awesome. Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We appreciate you. Okay, so our next presenter is also a member of the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden. His name is Daniel Cisneros. He's a recent graduate from the University of California, Santa Barbara, where he obtained his degree in ecology and evolution. He's worked at Santa Barbara Botanic Garden for 2 years, transitioning from an intern in the rare plant department to a full-time position as an herbarium technician. And he will soon begin a new position as a biologist with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So welcome, Daniel.
Hi, everyone. Is it cool for me to start talking? Okay. Okay, sweet. My internet is kind of spotty, so if it's not working too well, just let me know in the comment section. But okay, so I'll start off. My name is Daniel. My pronouns are he, him. A little bit about me. I live in Santa Barbara currently. I like to be outside. I like to rock climb and learn, read books. And I'm actually really stoked that I'm here right now because I was also a Santa Monica Mountains intern. But I'll kind of start from the beginning and talk about my own experience getting into conservation. So I started out, I'm a first generation college student. And so I started at community colleges in Ventura County and then, Ventura County. So Ventura College and Moore Park College as a biology major. And that I know a lot of people here are in community colleges. Most people are working full-time or part-time in community college. And that's exactly what I did. So I went to Ventura College and and Moore Park, and I was working full time, mostly at the state parks in Malibu. So that's another piece of advice that I would give for people who are working and going to school. It's sometimes nice to tailor your work towards something that you're interested in. So like I was interested in being outside, so I found a really entry-level job working the kiosk at a state park like Leo Carrillo and Sycamore Canyon. And it allowed me to be outside and be in contact with people who were, coming in and out of parks. And also I was able to get familiar with my specific focus, which is plants and native plants in particular. So if you're working, it is sometimes really nice if you can tailor your work towards something you're interested in, but that's not always the case. There's also a lot of jobs on campus too that provide like research opportunities that are paid, but kind of going off track. So I went to community college for about 4 years, and then I transferred to UCSB in 2020 as an ecology and evolution major, and I graduated in 2022. And yeah, so sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained, but throughout my entire career, I did a lot of internships and a lot of volunteer opportunities. And it comes from a place like Jessica said earlier, that not a lot of people have time to juggle internships and volunteer opportunities within school. But if sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So oftentimes I was working full time and also volunteering and trying to get my name out there and trying to get connected with folks in conservation, because my parents growing up, they don't know a lot of, we were introduced a lot to conservation growing up. So it was something that, I had to do on my own. And a lot of the times it was just volunteering at local rehabilitation centers or like wildlife. I know they're always looking for people who can take care of the animals that come in. Like I volunteered at the Ojai Raptor Center. So while I was in community college and experience with like wildlife work. Oh, okay. It's saying my internet connection is unstable, but I'm going to continue talking unless somebody tells me that they can't hear me. So yeah, that's a huge piece of advice that I would give to people is do as many internships and volunteer opportunities that you can. I think I did probably 4 or 5 internships while I was in college. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Okay, cool. As long as you can hear me, then that's cool. The words are the most important part. I think the best part that I really want to talk to you about today, I did this program at UCSB. It was called the Directorate Fellowship Program, and it's not through UCSB. It's actually through U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it's a really awesome program. It tries to get early students, like in undergrad or grad school, to get jobs in conservation. And what this program is really cool is that there are centers around the entire country, and also different territories too, which is controversial. But there's with this one application, you can apply for up to 10 different positions around the United States, getting experience in research projects, or you can be working hands-on in a lab or something. And so my particular one was actually based in Ventura. I applied to like 10. I only got accepted to 2 of these opportunities, and I had to pick one of them. And it was cool because whichever opportunity you get accepted to, whether it's in California or in Texas or Florida or in Guam, they will fly you out to live with them for 6 weeks, and they will pay you like $680 per week, which was pretty good. It's pretty good, in college. And it's after you complete your internship, it is the direct hire. You have direct hire authority to any entry-level job with the federal government. So that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Park Service, that's USGS, that's all of the environmental programs that are in the Department of the Interior. And it's a huge opportunity, and it's like a huge foot in the door. And I have the application actually just opened last week. So it's really cool that I'm here to talk about it today, because that is how I got my new job that I have now as a biologist within Ventura, where I'll be working on endangered species within the Endangered Species Act. And it was a game changer. I'm looking at the website and I see that there's stuff in Washington, Hawaii, Alaska, Indiana, Minnesota, Guam. There's things that are not plant focused, that are focused. It's called a direct fellowship program, and link, because I think it's a huge opportunity that I think a lot of people stumbled upon.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, talking. I did. Is it cool to talk? Or
Sorry, I think I might have lost you guys.
okay. Oh, last summer I actually started this DFP program where I was able to do a research project on rare plants on Channel Islands, which was really amazing. And through that, I made a story map. I got to, be interviewed by a couple different like news sources, and it was something that was like really catalyst for my career. They flew me out to different trainings in Mexico and New Hampshire. Opportunities are available for any of these like internships that are based across the US. So it's the Director of Fellowship Program. It's hosted with Hispanic Access Foundation. You don't have to be Hispanic or identify as Hispanic to apply for these positions, but just in this thing. So I think that's a huge that I mostly wanted to talk today. Other Santa Barbara Botanic Garden also has, you do have to be a current student to apply for these internships. It has to be at least an undergrad or a grad student. I do believe you have to be in school for at least a year. So it is a requirement to be a student for this program. But other than that, the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden also has internships too. And we host interns every summer, and it's mostly focusing on or we also have insect and invertebrate ecology internships too. So if your forte, we have more internships available too. And the pay is it's about the same pay as an entry level employee. And it's increasing within the next couple of, but right now I think it is $18 or $19 an hour, which is what most entry level employees actually get at the Botanic Garden. Within those internships too at the Botanic Garden, we guarantee that you will come out with a professional poster and you will come to a professional conference where you'll be able to network with people within the field that you want to get into. And plus, it's great to have your name on a poster and conservation. And also, one of my last pieces of advice too, that like I know what it's like to work full time and part time. I worked 3 jobs once before while I was in school, and it really sucks. It's really important, but I would say experience is also really important. So if experience is going to get you the contact information with people in conservation, if that you want to go to, that is how you're going to meet people in conservation, is experience. But I'm not saying that's not important, but I would say that they're equally important in my perspective. But yeah, I know that we'll have our contact information too. And if you end up actually applying for this internship and you have questions about it, I'm more than welcome to look over your application and, we could talk. But yeah. I could take more questions if you would like.
Someone in the group chat asked where they can get your contact information. So if the speakers feel comfortable sharing their contact information, do you guys mind typing it in the chat?
Yeah, I don't mind typing my contact information in the chat at all. Yeah, you can find me on the Gardens website, the Botanic Gardens website too, or you can email me as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Does anybody have any other questions? Yeah, it sounds like we really got to hustle, right, to get into these opportunities. Thank you for sharing. All righty. So we will move on to our next speaker, Alan Navarro. Alan attended UCLA and obtained his degree in geography and environmental studies. In 2001, Alan obtained a position with the Santa Monica Mountains Fund in partnership with the National Park Service, where he worked as a restoration support technician for 1 year. He's currently working with the Watershed Stewards program in partnership with AmeriCorps as a team. Welcome, Alan.
All right, hello everyone. Hello, welcome, fan. What's up? So allow me to reintroduce my name is Alan Navarro. Let me share my screen real quick. Can I share my screen, Carla?
You should be able to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see. All right. Okay, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Alan Navarro, and I'm just pretty much did a presentation on a journey through my career. So my undergraduate experience was at UCLA. I attended that school from 2014 to 2018. I got a Bachelor of Geography, Environmental Studies. Now my experience at UCLA was rocky. Transition from high school to college was really rough on me. It took a toll on my mental and physical health. I wasn't prepared as much as I should have been, and I struggled with adjusting to a whole new lifestyle. The reason I bring this up is just in case you might be experiencing the same academic struggles or wondering if school is for you. And my advice is just to try. The important thing is that as long as you genuinely try and actually put in effort, that thing. Not a smartest person there to succeed in academics. As you try and put in the effort, it will get better. I promise. The other advice is that if you're not sure what to do, if you're going into college undeclared, try to do research as much as you can about other career fields. There are more career fields that you can work in. There's a lot that you expect. So just kind of do that research and get to know people, talk to people and see what they do. After graduating from UCLA in 2018, I took some months off to study for the CBEST to become a substitute teacher. I became a substitute teacher back home at Hooper Unified School District. I first started off in April 2019, and I was a substitute teacher on and off, meaning that in between some of these fieldwork experiences that I had, I would be a substitute teacher. One of the pro things about this is that it's a flexible job. You have the chance to work when and where. And you have the chance to pick up assignments wherever you want to. What I mean by this is that you don't have to work this the whole day or the whole week. You have the choice to choose the assignments. So you could bounce around to different schools to see which, grade level or which school age group best suits you. You're kind of a contractor in a way. One bad thing is that there are no summer jobs, meaning that you have to find ways to, get money or experience. My first summer, I didn't do anything, but my second summer, I decided to do something different. I decided to explore a job in the major that I graduated in. And in February 2020, I started applying to jobs. And then in March 2020, that's when COVID hit and shut down all schools and I didn't work. So I used that time to be applying to jobs in my field. And, I struggled at first, but, through persistent effort, I ended up landing an internship with the Walker Basic Conservancy in partnership with the AmeriCorps as a restoration team member. I signed up for a 6-month contract from June 2020 through December 2020. 3 main components of my job was invasive species removal, plantings, and SAC. One of the highlights of my position was that in the fall months, we ended up planting native plants to the ground. One experience that I had was beside this degraded creek area. We planted rows and rows of Nevada native plants in the ground. And I learned so much from this position. And I made the first exposure to the field and just validated my love. I landed an internship with the California Botanic Garden as a horticulture intern in Claremont, California, for about 4 months, helping the garden with performing invasive species removal, removing weeds. And one of the highlights was that we designed the California Welcome Garden. This is what I like to this position because in the very first entrance, garden needed help with redesign. I was able to help the garden with digging trenches to install electrical wiring systems and irrigation systems to water the plants. I helped redesign in ways such as transplanting horticulture native nursery propagated plants into the ground, mulching and working volunteers to help redesign this garden. With horticulture, there's 2 aspects to it. There's this nursery side to it where you grow plants from a nursery setting and you do nursery tasks. There's also this landscape design and landscape architecture where you're redesigning parks, you're redesigning gardens based on the projects that need to be done. As a fun fact about California Garden, it is the largest botanic garden dedicated to California natives. The garden is just 86 acres of pure California native plants. You will not find any other plants from some other region in the world. So if you do love California natives, I highly recommend going to this botanic garden. After my internship with the garden concluded, I continued my work as a substitute teacher, and I applied to jobs. It is time after that I became a restoration technician for the Santa Monica Mountains Fund in partnership with the National Park Service right there in Ventura County. For the SAMO Fund, I was a support technician for jobs illustration work. From October through May, June of that summer, we did weekly community restoration events, which involved planting to the ground in these rehabilitated and degraded habitats. We planted around 60 to 70,000 plants throughout the national park in Santa Monica Mountains, which is really, really cool, and I learned a lot. Another thing about what I did as a support technician was invasive plant removal. We would go in with backpack sprayers to spray noxious weeds, and we would use brush cutters to chop down all these ugly weeds that we didn't want to see. Ecological restoration is a lot of maintenance work. You have to put in work, maintain the land, because plants cannot maintain themselves. So that involved just going into our restored plots and pulling weeds, fixing milk cartons, chopping down ugly weeds, and just making it look pretty. You have to make sure that once you plant plants, they survive. When we weren't in the field, we were doing nursery work. So we would help Carla with nursery propagation, seed cleaning, just a lot of plant-related tasks, which is pretty fun. And as a fun tidbit, summer of 2021, I helped the park do squirrel surveys. The park was trying to figure out the effects of the purchase on squirrel populations. So I was just with binoculars trying to observe how squirrels behaviors were affected with the presence of the purchase and raptors in the park. So what am I up to now? Well, right now I am blessed enough that I got a position as a leader for the California Conservation Corps Watershed Stewards Program in partnership with AmeriCorps. I am based out of San Luis Obispo, California, and I began this position in October 21, and I signed up for 10 and a half months. So I will be down here in SLO for the next year or so. If I could sum up my position in 2 or 3 words, it would be that I help with administrative and core member support. I help with community outreach and classroom instruction. We have what we call WAVE events, which are community outreach, and we have our education events called WOW events. To describe more about the Watershed Stewards program, it is pretty much one of the conservation programs of the California Conservation Corps. The CCC is a major funder of the Watershed Stewards program. To give you a broader idea of what the Cs are, it's pretty much a statewide program that offers other sub-programs such as the Energy Corps, Backcountry Trails Program, Forestry Corps, Fisheries Program, and they even have a culinary program if you're interested in becoming a chef. The Cs are open to DACA recipients, and they have several opportunities that DACA recipients can be a part of. As long as the opportunity or program within the Cs are not through AmeriCorps or AmeriCorps funding, DACA recipients can participate in. One of the perks that AmeriCorps recipients get is scholarship. This is a 2,000 education award granted per full year of service. You could get this award 2 times. So if you serve 1 year, you get 2,000. If you serve a second year, you get another 2,000. So you can get up to $4,000 to help fund your education expenses. For 28 years, the Watershed Stewards program has been involved with community-based watershed restoration and education work throughout all of California. We're currently in our 29th year of the program. The slogan for the Cs are hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. But that's not going to deter you from joining or looking into this. It is a very good program if you're unsure of what you want to do in the environmental field. And it's a very good opportunity for you yourself to get your foot in the door to explore the environmental restoration watershed management field. So I highly recommend looking into it. These are just some of the pictures of our current Corps members. If you see what they're wearing, that's our uniform. So our WSP uniform is different from the traditional C's uniform. The WSP Corps members serve statewide. There are 2 regions consisting of 4 districts. WSP has 2 offices, one located in Fortuna and one located in San Luis Obispo, and that's the office that I'm located out of. I'm based out of the CCC Los Padres Center in the placement site has a variety of different watersheds. So out of all the 25 placement sites throughout California, each has their own emphasis. So to give you guys an idea, some placement sites are more fisheries oriented, such as CDFW Wairika, all the way up north, whereas some placement sites are more plant or ecological restoration oriented, such as grassroots ecology in the Bay Area. Our placement sites are scattered throughout California, so we have some in NorCal, in Central California, and SoCal. We even have one position available right there in Santa Monica Mountains working for RCD. These are just some of the organizations that you can be a part of if you do work with the Santa Monica, with the Watershed Stewards program. So each of the placement sites has mentors, 2 to 3 to 4 mentors reside in each placement sites. And every time the Corps members go into the field, they're mentored by these professional mid-career professionals. Corps members' activities. This is showing where each of the emphases in the activities. A majority of the work that they perform is watershed recovery and protection. Now, my position as team leader is different. I am more office-based, meaning that I'm more in an office setting. I have difficulty when describing my position as team leader because I wear a lot of hats and have to do everything. I'm sort of the middleman in between the core members and the administrative people. The core members come to me with questions, and when they need to be supported in their activities, I help fulfill their duties. I also help administrative staff with running the program, which is helping me to build the nonprofit management skills. I just on this position, kind of get that more administrative, running the program feel to a job. This brings me to what it is like a program behind the scenes, quote unquote. Some of the stuff they do, recovery protection, invasive removal, erosion control, water conservation, water quality monitoring, and fish count and surveys. Their education component, each of our core members, including team leaders, are required to do 5 80-minute lessons to elementary student classroom setting. So this is a good opportunity if you do like to teach, especially about environmental stuff, you have the chance to do that for this program. Community outreach is another huge component of this program. Each core member is required to lead and plan their own community service event. Some of the stuff that core members have done are like removing debris from rivers, native planting events, invasive volunteer restoration events. Other stuff that core members can do are you can teach activities at environmental fairs. You can do these interpretive talks in an outdoor setting, and there's a lot of organizing field trips and service learning opportunities. Yeah, volunteer recruitment is a huge component of the program. We cannot do our work without volunteers, so you end up talking to volunteers and working with them a lot with these events. One perk of the program is professional development. Each of the placement sites has mentors that you work with on a day-to-day basis, and they pretty much instill the knowledge so that you could become more knowledgeable in this field. There's also opportunities for you to attend workshops and trainings and conferences. For instance, he's going to pay for us to go to Davis to go to one of the Circles conferences. You have a chance to learn a lot. This is a very learning opportunity. These are just some bullet points on who can apply to WSP. Just kind of give you a better idea of what you should be applying if you are lacking experience in the environmental field. I encourage you to do the C's or do like an entry-level job. WSP is kind of more based on people that have some experience with environmental, but if you kind of want to get more exposure, then I recommend doing WSP. There are some things that I like about the Watershed Stewards program. What I like about it is that I pay a monthly stipend to pretty much explore California, make a difference, and give back to threatened ecosystems and communities. I like that I'm doing work that's benefiting me. I like doing work that's benefiting others. I come in work happy, I wake up happy, and I come home happy because I know that the work I'm doing is really fulfilling to me. I come in with a very good attitude. I also like that we get a 10,000 education award at the end of our term of service. We also get no cost medical insurance. I like that they provide us uniforms and our field gear because they do tend to be expensive. And I like that chance to make connections with others and they lead to long-lasting trips is really cool about the program. So thank you guys for listening to my little presentation. If you guys are interested in more about the program, there's like our social media handles, there's our website, and there's also contact numbers and emails. I can also put in my email in the chat in case you guys want to know more about the program or have any questions in life for this field. So if you have any questions, ask away.
Olivia, do we have any questions in the chat?
No, not right now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you,
Yes.
Alan. That was great.
Thank you, Alan.
Of course.
We'll still wait a second, maybe.
What's that?
Oh, someone said they recognize you.
Word?
They're at the Los Padres Center.
Oh, that's cool. All right, welcome.
Oh, okay. We have a couple questions.
Perfect. Ask
Someone's
away.
asking, okay, what do you like most about working in SLO?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like a lot of things. So it's a very cool little town. I like that it's a small town. I don't have that big city vibe to it. But then again, it is a college town. So like at night or like in the weekends, it gets active. I like that I could do a lot of things here. There's a lot of things to do out here in SLO. Like I could hit up the beach one day. The next day I could go down to Montaña de Oro National State Park and I could hike the trails. The next day I could, go to a good restaurant in SLO and, explore, the cuisine out here. I also like the weather. The weather over here is so beautiful. Like it's not hot, it's not cold. It's just perfect. Like right now it's raining and it's not too cold. So those are some of the things I like about SLO. It's a very beautiful area. I'd recommend you guys check it out if you guys have a chance to travel.
Your background doesn't show that it's raining.
Oh yeah, it's because I'm in paradise right now. I took a little vacation today. I'm in Cancun.
Someone else is asking, are there any summer positions at the WSP?
So with WSP, recruitment season starts in April, and our service year begins in October. So our service year runs from October through August. So if you do want to do WSP, you're signing up for a 10.5-month contract. Unfortunately, there's no internship opportunities with WSP. It's like you sign up for a 10.5-month contract and you work about a 40-hour work week.
Then let's have one more question. How is the adjustment / finding community when moving for jobs?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah. How was your adjustment and finding community when you were moving for jobs?
So if you're wondering about finding like and you like things to live, it's tough. A lot of jobs do offer housing, so that's a huge bonus. Unfortunately, WSP does not offer housing, so I did have to search through housing. I had to end up looking through Craigslist and Basic Marketplace, and I ended up finding something through Basic Marketplace. Moving from place to place is a bit challenging when trying to make friends, because if you are moving from community to community, you tend to not make the long-lasting friendships. So it's important that you at least try to be sociable. When settling into new places, it could be a bit difficult, but when I was a kid, I moved a lot, so I'm used to moving place to place. I'm not ready yet to settle at a place and live the rest of my life. So if you do like to move from place to place, if you like to travel, if you like adventure, the environmental food is really, really good for you because you have the chance to work seasonal jobs in different places throughout the United States. So this career field is very good when traveling. So it's just kind of just trying your best to make those relationships settle to a well. Hope that's your question.
Cool. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
that's all the
Much love.
questions we have for Ellen. But thank you.
Okay, y'all, I would like to reiterate something that Alan mentioned. The WSP program is through AmeriCorps. So unfortunately, we're presenting this really, really awesome opportunity. However, people with DACA are not eligible for this opportunity. But the California Conservation Corps does hire, as an organization, people with DACA work permit. And it's still a really great organization to join if you're looking to obtain experience. Maybe not necessarily through the Watershed Stewards program, but they do have the Forestry Corps, and they do have the Brad Duncan Scholarship that they do offer for people who complete 1 year of service. It is a $2,000 scholarship per year. I believe you can do 2 years maximum for a total of $4,000 in scholarships. So if you are a person with DACA, that's still a worthwhile opportunity to pursue with the Cs. If you want to go into forestry or the fire program to eventually work with agencies like CAL FIRE, or, you know, there's the opportunities are there. It's just a matter of knowing about them. So if you guys have any other questions, I would be happy to refer you in the right direction. I'll also be putting my contact info later.
Carla,
Okay.
we have a question.
Yes.
Do the Cs offer anything for folks over 25?
Yeah, that's a difficult, okay. So there is an age limit. It's the Cs is for people who are 18 to 25. I believe if you are a veteran, the age limit is 28. But otherwise, yeah, it's unfortunately they cap it at 25. But if you just turned 25, you can still join the program.
We're good in the chat box.
I had myself muted. Alrighty, I'm excited to present Tani de Guzman. She is our next speaker. Tani obtained a biology degree from California Lutheran University. After graduating, she worked for Community Nature Connection as a restoration technician and as a specimen digitizer with the California Botanic Garden. Currently, she manages activities at Aquatet Learning Nursery and Loria Canyon Park. So welcome, Tani.
Thank you, Carla. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see. Okay, can you see that? Yes, okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, hi, my name is Tani. My pronouns are she, they. I am the Nursery and Restoration Coordinator with Community Nature Connection, or CNC. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and my career path, but also plugging in our Outdoor Access Leadership Institute at Elyria Canyon program, where there's going to be some internship openings coming up very soon. So stay tuned for those. But just a little bit about me, lots of pictures. My first introductions to nature were when I was little, and my parents would take me on like family trips to fishing trips up to like Mammoth and Bishop and like Big Bear. And so you can see that like little picture of me there. And other than those like fishing trips, which I really hold dearly to my heart, I grew up in Covina, California, which is an extremely like suburban, like urban area, like 20 miles east of Pasadena. And the green space there is not very extensive at all. So my daily interactions with nature were extremely limited, except for like when I would go fishing with my dad at like Santa Fe Dam. But other than that, super limited. So for high school, I actually went to a performing arts high school, completely irrelevant to like what I do today and now, but I went for like jazz guitar. But at the end of my high school career, I just knew that I didn't want to pursue music as a career, like scary. And I just knew that that wasn't something that was for me, as fulfilling as it was. So I applied to colleges just around California. I wanted to go to a small school, so I ended up going to California Lutheran University in Thousand Oaks, where I earned my biology degree and with a minor in gender studies. I went into school thinking I wanted to go into the medical field. I was on the pre-med track, specifically like interested in like dermatology, which is really random and not relevant to what I do today. But like halfway through my school career, I kind of figured like, this doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. I can't really actually see myself going into like a medical career. So I decided to try something new. And I applied for an internship with the National Park Service at the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. And just a disclaimer, I did take the internship and I was privileged enough to take it, although it paid only $20 a day and it was a full-time position. I was able to take that because I was being financially supported by my parents. And I just want to acknowledge that these internships, unpaid internships or low-paying internships are extremely exclusive to people who can afford those opportunities. And so hopefully with these kind of budding environmental leaders, a new generation of activists, we can fight for livable wages for workers and for interns and pay them like a proportional amount of money to the work that they're expected to be doing. So just wanted to give that disclaimer, but I know that without that internship, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's where I fell in love with California native plants. I was trained to do line transect surveys. I was doing lots of weeding with lots of herbicide application, lots of just manual weeding. It really helped my plant identification skills, and it just really introduced me to a career field in ecology that I didn't know existed. I didn't know I'd be able to find a job in the outdoors. So I really fell in love with California's landscape doing this internship. After I completed that internship, I finished school. I completed a senior thesis on vegetation succession in a post-burned area in Ventura. And so I kind of cleaned up my line transect surveying skills there and my plant identification skills there as well. And then I graduated in 2021. After graduation, I immediately started applying for jobs, and it was really hard. It was really difficult to like even get responses back from people in like the environmental field and like consulting. It's really difficult, and it really instills like a feeling of imposter syndrome. And so it wasn't really working out. So I was like, okay, what else do I love? Or like, what else do I like? And so I was like, I love dogs. So I'm gonna apply to PetSmart as a dog bather. And so you can see the little pug there getting bathed. And it was literally the hardest job I'd ever worked. Customer service, crossing with like major time management skills, working with like stubborn but cute dogs. It was just like really hard, a really stinky job. Probably the hardest job I'll ever have to work. But I don't regret doing it. I just want to normalize, like, after graduating college, it's oftentimes really hard to find a job. Sometimes it takes like a year to find a job in like the field that you want to work in. But luckily, an opening with CNC opened as a restoration technician, a part-time position. So for a while, I was simultaneously working at PetSmart and in the Santa Monica Mountains, back at the Santa Monica Mountains as a restoration technician. I eventually left CNC and I got an internship at Botanic Garden in the herbarium, where I worked as a specimen digitizer. And that really helped me kind of clean up skills on like learning plant families and like farms and stuff, and making connections with like grad students and the Claremont graduate professors that work there who are in the botany program. So I definitely recommend looking into them as an organization as well. And so I'll just kind of expand on my restoration technician position and how it supported me getting this current position I have today. Kind of like what Alan said, we were in the exact same position. We were doing a lot of like restoration, land management, volunteer management, land maintenance, planting, and working in the nursery sometimes. It was good because we were getting trained in like mechanical skills, such as like learning how to use the mower, use brush cutters, all of these very like hard skills that you can put on a resume. And so I definitely recommend, if you do internships, listing all of the skills you learned, all of the trainings that you were provided with, because they're really going to help you land jobs in the future. And definitely continue to make connections with the people that you're working with, and the interns that you're working with, or the coworkers you're with. They're gonna have connections in the future too, and they're also the people that I met are just like amazing people, and some of them are on the Zoom call. So thanks, I love you guys. And yeah, so that's my position. I'm continuing, or I continued into consistency in a full-time position as a nursery and restoration coordinator. And the bulk of my responsibility in this position currently is to restore a native plant nursery to an operational state. The nursery is located in Northeast Los Angeles, right in the middle of Mount Washington. You can see the little barn right there on the left picture. That's where it is. It's a really beautiful site surrounded by California black walnuts. It's really beautiful. And so this project is being supported also by my coworker, Javier, who's going to talk after me. He's our nursery technician. And we are just currently in the process of collecting and cleaning and processing seeds, slowly getting into the propagation process, but also simultaneously working to work on nursery layout things like building tables and kind of establishing the space as livable and workable. So that's the bulk of our responsibilities currently. And I also do administrative tasks, working in the office, doing budgeting, tracking project hours and timesheets and all of those kinds of logistical things. So if you're not completely familiar with Community Nature Connection, we're a really young organization. We started in 2016 under a bigger organization called Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, MRCA. CNC started as interpretive branch of that state agency. But basically our vision is for all communities in Los Angeles County to have physical and institutional access to all local public lands, and are included in all environmental programs and recreation, and are represented in outdoor careers and political decision making. And in order to accomplish this vision, our mission is to increase access to the outdoors for communities impacted by racial, socioeconomic, and disability injustices by eliminating existing barriers through advocacy, community-centered programming, and workforce development. So part of that workforce development that we're trying to develop is this upcoming internship, the Watershed Learning Nursery internship. And in this internship, you'll gain hands-on experience in habitat restoration and native plant nursery management. So you'll be able to play a direct role in literally building up this nursery that we're trying to restore. And then you'll also be trained in tasks of seed collection, to cleaning, to processing, to planting, and then watering and maintaining those plants. So you the whole point of the internship is to gain insight into the cycle of habitat restoration and a smaller scale. But we don't want to make it a labor intensive internship where we're just using you for your hard labor. That doesn't feel good. So we're going to supplement it with curriculum on policy and history, social and emotional learning, and community building and outreach. Again, we just don't want it to be something where you're just being taken advantage of for your hard labor. And we want you to grow and learn along with us. Included in the internship potentially is also to be enrolled in a UC California naturalist course. Upon completion of that course, you can become a certified naturalist. Seating for that course is limited, but we are going to be working with a local youth source center in order to get some more training and more professional development opportunities for the interns that are in this program. But again, the California Naturalist course is not a requirement in order to complete the internship. So again, the online component is going to be that kind of learning curriculum And then the in-person component is going to be at Elyria Canyon doing restoration at the nursery. And there will also be field trips to Leo Carrillo State Beach, King Gillette Ranch, and Temescal Canyon. Why is it not changing? Okay. So if you're interested, the ages 17 to 24 are eligible. It is open to DACA recipients. A letter of recommendation is required. This could be from anyone. It could be from a teacher. It could be a present or a current supervisor or past supervisor, a mentor. It can be very simple. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. It can just be like why that person thinks that you're a good fit for the internship, maybe skills that are relevant. It'd be very, very simple, nothing expensive, nothing more than 1 page. So the projected start date for this internship is January 26, 2023, and it's going to be 3 months. So it's going to end in April 22nd, 2023. April 22nd is going to be like our official nursery opening day. That's Earth Day. So interns will be able to join in on that. The online component is going to be on Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. The in-person is going to be every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The application is open now, and the deadline is very soon. It's going to be Thursday, December 22nd at 5 p.m. Please take a picture of this slide if you're interested. All of the links and stuff are on the flyer and all of that information, but here's the link to apply. I can show you what it looks like. It's a very simple Google form. Just a few questions, some short answers, submit your resume, and that simple letter of recommendation. And then here's also a link to the job description. I can provide all these links to Carla, and then she could, I think, hopefully send it out to you if you are interested. The job description just kind of summarizes expectations, hours, requirements, and all of that stuff. Let's see. Okay. In addition to that internship, there are also some upcoming job openings at CNC. The first is a part-time lead naturalist, and this person is going to support our Transit to Trails program by coordinating trips and delivering interpretive programs to BIPOC communities in Los Angeles. So I would say you should apply for this if you have experience in public speaking and like training volunteers, if you have experience delivering interpretive programs or education, and if you have like obviously like a passion for the environment, or if you're like a certified naturalist already, that would be a really good position to consider for yourself. There's also a full-time program manager position that's going to open, and this person is going to manage the Emerging Naturalist program and Continuing Connections alumni program. So this is kind of a higher level position that's going to require more like project planning, like probably budget planning, really a lot of coordinating things. So if you have experience in like project management, then I would definitely recommend you take a look at that position. Both of these are going to drop around December 20th. And if you're interested, that's where they're going to be. That's the link, Community team. And then finally, just some volunteer opportunities. The confirmation. And then another program that's happening at CNC is the Transit to Trails program, where one of our program coordinators helps to provide free transportation to coastal sites in LA County for those who may not have access to transportation to visit those beautiful sites in LA. If you have questions about that, you can contact that email there on the bottom. And there's the flyer for the information sessions if you would like to join that program and be a participant. If you have any questions about the positions, about CNC, about my experience, this is my contact information. I can put my email in the chat as well. But thank you so much for having me. I can't see like any questions or anything, but I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you so much, Carla.
Thank you, Tani. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I can read them out for you, or you can, yeah, unmute yourself and ask. Looks like we don't have any questions in the chat box right now, but y'all saw Tani's contact info, so definitely reach out.
Yeah, thank you, Tani. That was a great presentation, very detailed, lots of opportunities coming. I think one of the things that stood out about many presentations today is how far away we are from opportunities such as these. Alan, Tani, you guys mentioned, or you might have mentioned that place where you guys came from in order to participate in the internship. Alan would commute from Riverside, you know, rent an Airbnb for the week that he was working, and then back again in Riverside for the weekend. Tani, you would do the commute, right? All the way from Covina all and to the Santa Monica Mountains. And yeah, you know, sometimes distance itself can be a barrier, and that's an important consideration when you're thinking about what opportunities are out there. If you're living in the LA area, community nature connection is definitely much closer than out here in the Santa Monica Mountains. So just something to keep in mind. It's good to know the organizations that are around us that we can be a part of, no matter where we live. So thank you, Tani, for sharing. All righty, so let me introduce you guys to Javier Rodriguez. I'm so happy he could join us today. I hope it's okay to share, but Javier, man, Olivia and I were like, I can't believe he's showing up. That's commitment right there, because you know, you just had your baby this week, but you're still here. Yeah. So, you know, special heart of gratitude for being here. Thank you. Javier assists in the management of the Aquatet Learning Nursery, where he supervises interns with fieldwork. He has several years of experience in community gardens, organizing around anti-displacement and affordable housing issues in grassroots spaces throughout Northeast LA. So welcome, Javier.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't around. ED came by, executive director, and I was just chit-chatting with them for a little bit. But yeah, I guess I'll get started. Let me see. I also don't have a presentation. I was just like, you know what, I'm kind of gonna wing it. I just feel a little bit more comfortable that way. But my pronoun is they. I'm a displaced native of Western Mexican descent. I was raised here in Northeast LA in Tongpalan, and for like probably about almost all my life, 30 years, 32 years. And so currently I work for Community Nature Connections, and I'm the nursery technician along with Tani, getting this nursery going here at Elyria Canyon. And I also work for Outward Bound Adventures as a field instructor. So how I got into the field is actually kind of interesting, because I don't have educational background. Actually, I am a high school demo, kind of like a dog graduate, community college dropout, you know, but I just learn from books. I pick up a book and I just kind of go with it. And so I actually was fortunate to grow up in a family that like encouraged camping. And just if you know about Northeast LA, like it's surrounded by hillsides, and we have the LA River right by us. And so as a young teen, I would just go out, explore, the undeveloped hillsides and the abandoned sides of the river, and just it's my backyard. And so eventually, little fast forward into high school, I was influenced a lot by the punk rock music and the scene, and I was a very angry youth, and like made me question a lot of things. I was hearing about the earth destruction and animals this, and just issues that were happening, and I needed to get that frustration and that anger away in a positive way. So I joined like the animal club, the environmental club, and like so when I was in high school, yeah, the environmental club, I joined it, and that's where I met Aaron Thomas from Northeast LA, and he would go weekly and just teach us about riparian zones and native plants and trees. And I just continued going for like 2 years. So it was like 11th and 12th grade, or what should have been 11th and 12th grade to me. And then right out of high school, or right around the time we were graduating, we're supposed to graduate, sorry. They offered me a job at Northeast Trees, but I grew up here illegally, so I was not able to take that job. And so that kind of really like pushed me away a little bit at like wanting to apply to these jobs in the nature world, because I felt like I didn't have that advantage. And so I kind of just did other stuff. Again, with the punk rock music, I got in tune with like gardening and like DIY culture, do it yourself, and bicycling, and like all these things that really kind of like, I enjoy doing food networking and mutual aid services. And within those groups, I found like-minded folks that we eventually like clicked and would like go bike camping, and we would read zines about how to like harvest like plants, and how to process them into food or medicine, and like a lot of these plants are native, like white sage and stuff like that. So I didn't necessarily move away from nature, but I was just approaching it in a different way. And I just never saw community college or school as like something that I wanted to do. And again, not because I don't want to learn, but I feel like I learn better from a book than from the institutions. The institutions are biased, I feel. And for me, it was just about getting the information that I needed to get and shifting it to how it works for me. And so, again, I got involved with like the Occupy movement, and then the No Dapple, and like, the No Dapple was a lot about, it's about water conservation and about land management and about all these things. So in some way I was still kind of attached to that, and doing community work or community gardens, growing food sovereignty, like sovereign food for folks, affordable food. And so I think I never moved away from that, but I wasn't focused in the conservation. So eventually I believe it was COVID too. COVID was coming around, and I was actually a courier in downtown for several years. And I needed to start thinking about something else, what was I going to do? And I've always liked the outdoors, because I've continuously gone camping, and I take my little ones camping, and like, but again, anytime that I would apply for like, say, native plant landscaping, or like something with plants, because I didn't have that educational background, it was always just like, I'm out the question, like I'm out the list, there's no question about it, I'm not gonna get the job. So I started to just look around, and I came across Outward Bound Adventures. They are this like, this group that focuses a lot on like diversifying the outdoors, introducing youth into nature. A lot of these youth are like marginalized youth that have never gone out hiking, have never done anything like that. So So I heard about them, and they were offering this this course, a Dolly course, which is like their diverse outdoor leadership institution. And so I joined it, and I was able to learn about like wilderness. I got my wilderness first aid certification from there. And once you pass the program, you can be a field instructor with them. So you go out and take youth, and you teach them how to camp, how to backpack, how to do these things. You also teach them about like ecology, and so I got into that, and then they kind of, it was actually the executive director, his name is Charles Thomas from Outward Bound Adventure. He kind of was the one to, I guess, something he saw in me, or maybe because I knew a little bit of plants and stuff, but he kind of was just pushing me to like, hey, you need to continue this work. You need to, he's a person of color as well, which was really great to hear that from him. And he was just like very encouraging to tell me like, hey, apply for our other programs. And so I did. They have an ERT program, which is like the Environmental Restoration Team program. And that program is really cool. It's like, you don't need any experience to work in the outdoors. You can be like, you can be a felony, you can have felonies, and you can, whatever. It's like, it's a program to, it's not focused on this, but they encourage folks who have been through incarceration or probation or whatever to apply to see if maybe the outdoors is something that fits for them. And so, I was never been incarcerated or anything like that, but because you don't need any requirements besides just wanting to work, I applied and I qualified. And that job was really cool. It was a lot of like, native plant restoration, invasive species removal, trail work, just all types of work. We were working with the wilderness, the wildlands conservation, which I suggest everybody check out. They are like a group, a nonprofit that like has like parks all over California, and they're pretty much free. You can go for free. You just need to contact them ahead of time. But so I got to work with them for a year, and eventually, they made me lead. So I was lead, and I just kept going. They kept pushing me to do something else, and so I started searching and applied to different jobs, and I got hired. Good thing I applied and I got hired with Community Nature Connections to do something that is relatively new to me. Like, I know how to grow food and I know how to, how plants work, but I've never really focused my energy that much on trying to do just native plants. So I'm learning a lot here, and it's like, this has been a great opportunity. The team's great. Yeah, everyone I work with is awesome. And so let me see what others. So I wanted to focus a little bit on OBA. Sorry to move around a little bit, but OBA also has a few other programs. They have, so the Dolly program, which is their wilderness first aid certification. They have like YAC, which is Youth Advisory Council, and which is like a bunch of youth in high school get to learn, same thing, kind of like with the ERT, but it's for youth from high schools. And they usually work with high schools in Pasadena because they're located near Pasadena, but I don't think it's exclusive to Pasadena. So if youth can get out there, then they're welcome to join. And about that Dolly program, the Diverse Outdoor Leadership Institution, they're actually about to open their applications the 19th of December. So I really recommend anyone who has no background, or even if you do have background in nature, just to kind of give it a try. It's also a little bit intense. You're learning about first response. So you will get to witness simulation blood and what happens with worst case scenarios. But if you're comfortable with that, I think it's a great tool, because you never know what can happen when you're out there working in nature. And you can actually just hit them up, contact them on like their social media, which is Instagram, or you can go on their website, which is like obainc.org. and let me see. So yeah, sorry. So in high school, again, I was just volunteering a lot for Northeast. You know, just that's how I kind of got into the nature, is just volunteering and meeting folks. And you know, again, I oppose school. I don't necessarily feel like I need it. I think that I can learn just as much just by doing it. And so I really encourage folks to just go for it, you know. And I really got more into, I think that because I was part of this community work that I did, I was able to also learn about like a cultural view of nature, you know, because I also have like I'm very critical of like the conservation world, because they're very white and they don't have a cultural context to it, you know? And so I now go to a cultural center, and, you know, which means like that I learn about my indigenous roots and like practices and what Native folks were doing to the land. And so I think that's also very important, because that knowledge has just been there, you know. That knowledge it's like inherent, you know. We've had that knowledge, and it's just it's still around. We just need to go ahead and listen, you know. It's like the fire burns, you know. People have been talking about using fire for about, if I can remember, about 10 years or more, and it's not until now that people are listening to Native folks that are pushing for this, you know, and why it's important. So I really do encourage also people to look into whatever culture you're into. Just look into your culture and how they use their land, and how the importance of the land, you know. Land is a resource. Land is where you get food, water, clothing, materials for whatever it is. And so understanding that, and understanding like your role as like a land steward, you know, is very important to me. And it's not just with land, it should be also with like, you know, animals and like any other stuff like that, you know. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions or anything like that. Maybe I jump around, or I can repeat some stuff. I'm totally open to that.
Well, thank you, Javier. There is one question in the chat. Someone was asking for the name of the institute you were mentioning earlier.
Okay, so the one that does the Outdoor Leadership Institute is called Outward Bound Adventures, and I'll write they're out in Pasadena, and they're really cool folks. I think it's the course, you have to pay for the course. It's open to anyone, but I also think they work with people who are financially unstable. So don't feel like, you know, maybe I can't afford it. And it's not like some crazy price. It's like, I want to say it's like $100 and something or something. You know, it's relatively affordable. And also just network with folks. I also know not a bunch, but I know about a few collectives. The one called Regenerative Collective, which is some friends that are doing really great work out here in Northeast, in El Sereno. They take it upon themselves to meet up and like, you know, process seeds and plant them, and like, you know, do all the stuff that maybe we're getting paid to, and they're just doing it for fun. There are also another group called Masawali Coyote, and they're also in El Sereno, in Northeast, and they are focusing on protecting land, undeveloped land in this area, by focusing on the black walnut. So the black walnut, California black walnut here in Southern California, or I think in all California, is protected but people don't know that, and the city doesn't push to, to protect them. And so they're utilizing nature to protect these undeveloped lands. And at the same time, now, they're becoming more people aware of the trees, of these areas that are, that are like kind of like oases, because they're just big, a few acres of land, and in between communities, and like, they're here for all of us to use and enjoy. So that's my little girl. If y'all want to get connected with them, I can totally put up their information. They're also just a volunteer group. Whenever you just want to do stuff, just like find folks, there's always going to be people that are like, that are on your level, that have like, you're like-minded, and just like click with them, and again, like I think Alan said, just get your name out there, expose yourself, and kind of see what kind of opportunities you can get.
Well, thank you. Someone's asking if we can get your contact info in chat somehow. If you're comfortable. And then someone else is interested in hearing more about the networks of mutual aid and community gardens you've worked in.
So I was part of, I've been a part of a few. So I was doing Food Not Bombs. If you all know about Food Not Bombs or Comida No Bombas, they're a grassroots, just a bunch of friends really who get together. We find food that businesses or farmers markets or whatever is going to throw away. We clean it up, we process it, and we make vegetable. We distribute it as vegetables and fruits, or we make a meal and we pass it to anyone who's hungry, really. Usually houseless folks, but it's for anyone. That's just one of them. I also was part of Proyecto Jardín, which was like, it was a community garden in Boyle Heights, and everything. So you would go through a learning course there, and everything, the garden was really interesting, that all the food there was for sale, but the sale price was like cents. And it was really great because people would stop going into their local, markets, and they would come to the neighborhood garden and like get a batch of, apples for like $2. You know what I mean? It was just really awesome to get to experience that, and how, how food doesn't have to be expensive. So I've also been on and off with like El Sereno Eastside Cafe. So, in certain things I help out and I don't. I'm part of a cultural center. It's formerly known as Zapotepec in East LA. We're currently in the process of changing that. It's going to be Metitlan, and it's a native center. It's really just focusing native diaspora and like their, whatever it is that they want to learn, find themselves, practice traditional things, just anything that, we have a temescal. We, there's this, we practice ceremony. There's things that like, or we're taking back the things that were taken from us and introducing them back into our lives, pretty much. And so, I'm part of that now. I'm currently still part of that. And I'm trying to think what else, but I think that's, for the most part, those are the main ones that I've been for like a good long time.
Cool. Thank you so much, Javier.
For sure. Anyone have any more questions?
Doesn't look like there's anything else in the chat.
Cool.
Great. Thank you, Javier. Man, I think that everything you said is so important. You know, in particular for people who don't necessarily want to consider, you know, college or other institutions. Yeah, education can be so controversial. So it's really important to take a step back and really think about, you know, what path do I want to take, especially because there's so much pressure for students to consider college right after high school. So I really think that everything you mentioned, Javier, was super important, you know, and it's good to see you in this field because you're still making it, you're still finding your way, and it's just so important for all of us to know that. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Alrighty, so our next presenter is Javier Sandoval. Javi graduated from California State University Channel Islands with a degree in biology. He joined SAMO Youth's Summer 2021 program and continued his involvement as a lead during the Summer 2022 SAMO Youth program. He's currently working as a restoration technician with Santa Monica Mountains Fund, but he also helps to co-lead the SAMO Youth program. So welcome, Javi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Carla, for that introduction. Let me share my screen. It's awesome having two Javiers here. Cool. Awesome. So welcome, everyone. Today I will be talking about what I do within the National Park Service, the Santa Monica Mountains Fund, and about the SAMO Youth Program. All right, so again, my name is Javier Sandoval Garcia. I am from Fillmore, California. I went to school at CSU Channel Islands. Any other dolphins in the house today? So I got my degree in biology, BS in biology. And as Carla mentioned, I'm SAMO Youth alum 2021. And after my summer internship with the SAMO Youth program, I was added on to the restoration team, the SAMO Fund restoration team. And I still serve as a restoration technician and as a supervisor mentor for the SAMO Youth program. And if you see to the picture to the left, that's with my cohort in 2021. We actually hiked Sandstone Peak, which if anyone's familiar with it, it's the highest peak in the Santa Monica Mountains. And along the way, we did some trail clearing, some lopping, some throwing branches off to the side. And the middle picture, that's my first time using a pole saw. So I had the opportunity to use other mechanical equipment and apply other skills that I still use while I'm still working here. And the pictures on the right were from this year's cohort. So I had the opportunity to lead alongside with Kyle Martinez and Adriana Barrera. So in the top picture, we were ponding, and in the bottom, we were doing some interpretation training. Cool. So what do I do? So as I mentioned, I am a SAMO Youth supervisor and mentor, and I am also a restoration technician. So I worked alongside Olivia for many hours, Alan, Tawny, and Carla. So my day-to-day, it consists of a few different tasks. So we do a lot of prepping sites, which includes brush cutting, clearing the sites. We do a lot of watering for our plants and a lot of maintaining, which include a lot of weed abatement and just making sure our plants have the best chance of survival. So I joined the SAMO restoration team in September 2021. So after my SAMO Youth internship in the summer, I got extended on to the restoration team. And since then, we have planted over 85,000 native plants. So I was part of the team that did that. We also do a lot of invasive plant management, fuels reduction, and also a big part of the work that I do now is volunteer and public engagement. And I have to say, thanks to the SAMO Youth program, I got more comfortable talking to the public and interacting with them. And those are some of many skills that I acquired that I still use today in my current job. And here I just want to share a few pictures of the work that I do. So for example, top left, even though I am in the restoration team, we still do a lot of nursery work because nursery and restoration, we're both connected. And the bottom left, that's I was using a bench track mower. So it's part of our job of restoration, and not just planting plants, but also getting rid of invasive annual grasses and just clearing out for reduce the risk of fire as well. And we do a lot of augering as well. And the top right, I would have to say that's one of my very first trees that I ever planted. And I wanted to include that picture there. And to the bottom right is one of the most current pictures we have of the team. Special thanks to Matt, Ian, Nate, Jaya, Alex, Mike, and special thanks to our restoration ecologist, Joseph Algiers, putting this amazing team together. So now I will transition into the Samuel Youth Program. So what is the Samuel Youth Program? So it is a 8-week paid internship full-time. So I really want to emphasize the paid part because it is really important that when we are doing these internships, not only are we acquiring many skills and knowledge, but it's also important that we are getting compensated for our time. A lot of us are still going to school and we need to be able to pay. We have bills, pay for school, and other things as well. And some of the requirements that for this Samuel Youth Program is you have to be currently enrolled in college, it could be a community college, university, between the ages of 18 to 25. It is open to Ventura and Los Angeles County students. And also it is highly recommended that you have a reliable form of transportation because we're mostly out of Thousand Oaks, but we also visit other park sites within the Santa Monica Mountains. For example, Solstice Canyon, Cheeseboro Canyon, Paramount Ranch. So it's important that we there's reliable transportation to be able to go to different places. But also we found that in many cohorts, a lot of us do a lot of carpooling, which is really beneficial as well. And also DACA recipients do qualify. So this opportunity and others with the Samuel Youth are available for these DACA recipients, and I don't want DACA recipients to be discouraged or from applying, because please do apply, because mostly everyone, we do qualify. And mostly of the work that we do is in the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. So, and we really want to emphasize, we want to explore many branches of the National Park Service. So this is a national parks program, but we are employed through the Santa Monica Mountains Fund. And many of the tasks that we do is trail work, native plant restoration, seed collecting, interpretation events, professional development, invasive plant removal. Also, I want to give a special thanks to Antonio Solorio. So he is the program manager. He has been managing this program for more than 20 years. And he is an amazing human being, and he's done great things with this program. All right, so Samuel Youth, what's the program purpose? So program purpose is to recruit, introduce, and provide work experience to racially diverse students interested in the environment, but are not aware of NPS as a career choice. Here to the picture of the left, we see 3 strong brush cutting. So for a lot of these students, it was the first time using some of this like mechanical equipment. And we did team up with the Samo Fund Trails crew for the States at Solstice Canyon. And a lot of them picked it up really quick. And it's really nice to see the skills that they could apply this, that they learned here, they could apply it to other jobs as well if they're interested. Program objectives. So students are integrated into all park operations. So from wildlife habitat improvement, restoration, native plant communities, scientific field studies, trail work, park maintenance, interpretative education outreach, cultural resources, special events, customer service, administrative assistance, and office support. So here we see on the top left picture, it's this year's cohort. So we have our restoration ecologist, Joseph Algiers. He is showing the Samuel Youth, a quick demonstration of how we plant the oak trees. And the bottom right picture, they are in the nursery. We call it Nursery Wednesdays. So they're probably potting the plants or transplanting, I believe. And I really want to emphasize that we find opportunities for young people to experience the great outdoors through meaningful work. So program goals. So we want to introduce youth to NPS careers through this meaningful work. We offer well-paying jobs as part of the team, understanding of our natural and cultural heritage, mentorship, career development with NPS and other organizations, and engage youth in environmental stewardship and promote constituency. So we want to provide like a head start on career development, which will be open employment opportunities with the NPS and other organizations. So we do team up with other partner organizations, and it's up to them to do a lot of the networking, like Alan was saying, and we provide a lot of the exposure and connections, but ultimately it's up to a lot of the Samoa youth to go ahead and continue that for themselves. And we also inclusive, so inspire youth towards efforts broader than themselves. Youth influence siblings, peers in their community by becoming role models, stewards, and mentors. Kind of like the ripple effect. So a lot of that be taken back into their communities, their homes, and it stays with them. Quick shout out to the middle picture, Jose Campos. He was part of the Samoa Youth 2020, and he's been doing amazing work in the nursery alongside Carla. And another key highlight of this program is we have a 1-week camp out. So by week 5 of this year, in the summer, we packed up and headed to Santa Cruz Island. So for a 4-day work trip involving the removal of invasive plant species. So I want to emphasize the work trip because we did work on there, but we also had fun after work. And all this, it was still paid days of work that was being, that we were doing. Just want to share a couple of quick pictures. And I really want to emphasize that for a lot of the Samoa youth, this was the first time camping out. So I think it's really important that some of these skills that they could still apply to their everyday lives. A few of them mentioned that after this, now they're going to go camping with their families, and sort of ties in with that ripple effect that I was talking about that we could learn here, that they could spread out. See, the top right, we were one of the chilly mornings. We were making breakfast. It's awesome. You could really see a lot of the teamwork and bonding that happened because we had different teams and they all worked together to make breakfast, lunch, dinner, different crews for different meals we made. So we have profound transformations, increased strength, confidence boosts, socialized training, practice life skills. And we have problem solving, peer interaction, safety, communication, teamwork. I want to take a look to the picture in the bottom right. So there we have Diane Diaz. We were getting rid of the invasive sweet fennel from the island. So we worked alongside the biologist there, Clark Cohen, and he showed us how to remove the fennel and also a lot of the ice plants. Cool. So Samoa Youth 2022. So this summer's cohort. So what did we do this summer? So this summer it was a cohort of 17 college students. It was myself as a co-lead, Adriana Barrera, and Callie Martinez. And basically our day-to-day consisted of different tasks. We often teamed up with different branches within the National Park Service. So we did with the trails and facilities management, nursery and seed collecting, restoration, interpretation, professional development. And within the professional development, we often teamed up with many community partners. So quickly, I'll just share a few of the qualitative numbers. And activities that we accomplished this summer. So with buildings and utilities, we did over 300 foot of fence painting, trench work, and a lot of the wood chipping within Santa Cruz Island. And with the trails and fuels management, we worked with the Sambo Fund Trails crew. We did over 5 hours of trail work and 1.5 miles of trail clearing. For the picture on the bottom left, there we were clearing the trail in Solstice Canyon. And it's really cool to see the Samo youth picking up these skills and really enjoyed like doing this type of work. And also had nurseries, so they did over 40 plant trays planted, 40 plant trays planted, and we arranged 13 plant tables. And with seed collecting, we often did it with Carla, and the Samo youth collected over 17,000 tarweed seeds collected, and they also got the experience of doing herbarium presses as well. And in the bottom right picture, we can really see that teamwork. So we were tasked with moving the tables out of this area. There was gravel had to be put in, they spread it out, and then we put the tables back. And on top right, we see Antonio Sanchez, the nursery manager, demoing the plant division to the Samo youth. And restoration, we often call it Restoration Thursdays. So at Samo, we planted over 15,000 trees in Santa Cruz Island. They removed 2,000 square feet of ice plant. So I really enjoyed this picture in the bottom left because you could see the before and after. So this was in, I believe, Cavern Point, which is also a restoration site. And it really ties in because this site in particular, a Samo youth group from previous years has restored the site. So now this year's cohort came back and basically continued that restoration process. Professional development, we oftentimes is either Friday or Saturdays. We most of the Ventura County folk, we carpool in the van and we travel to LA. And the LA folk, we met at different locations. We had different, for example, cultural resource, LA Compost, another nonprofit, Northeast Trees, Pascal Hills, La Plaza Cultura y Artes, the Natural History Museum. And I really want to emphasize that this professional development, it still happened during paid time. So the Samo youth were being paid to experience this professional development and really make that connections with the different organizers and people involved. And I just want to highlight in Northeast Trees, Eileen Hernandez is a Samo youth alum, and she was working there. And she was able to talk to this year's cohort, and also at the Natural History Museum, Andrew Agustin, he was able to talk to this year's cohort as well. And we also had interpretations. We had 3 interpretation events with over 800 total visitors. And there's also the interpretation training that occurred in the first week with Riza, Ana Flores, and Shanice Crespo, which were also Samo Youth alum. And we're here to see a few pictures of the different booths and activities. So Bolo, be on the lookout. So by the beginning of next year, so around January, that's when we will send out the flyer for the Samo Youth program. So basically what you need to apply is you need a resume, cover letter, your college transcript, and 3 references. So not reference letters, just references. And the main way for you to see that when this flyer comes out is through Instagram. I know a lot of us probably have Instagram. So just follow us at Samo Youth. That's where we have the most up-to-date information on the program. And also, if you want to write down, this is our Samo Youth email. So samoyouth.mps@gmail.com. Give a second. If you want to write it down, take a picture. Cool. So thank you, Samo Youth. And so here is my contact information. I will also type it down in the chat. Feel free if you want to take a picture. But if you have like any quick questions you need answered, you can send us a quick DM on Instagram as well. In this picture, I really like it because we collaborated a lot with the Samuel Trails crew, and this is a picture that we got together with them. Cool, thank you. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Javi. Yes, if anyone has questions, I will read them out. But if not, there's Javi's contact info. So, ciao.
That was great, Javi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we're nearing the end. Olivia and I didn't initially introduce ourselves, mostly because we were going to be speakers towards the end. So allow me, guys, to now introduce you to Olivia. Olivia's from Oxnard, and she has been with Samuel Fund for over a year, starting as a restoration technician and now as the lead for the Mission Monarch program. She's currently working on her master's degree at CSU Dominguez Hills, where she'll be researching grassland restoration ecology. She loves native plants, but birds come in a close second. Take it away, Olivia.
Thank you, Carla. Here, I'm going to share my screen. A second. Okay. Let me know if you can see this. Trying to present. There we go. See if it loads. Hey everyone. I still can't see my own screen, so okay, there we go. Can everyone see? We're good. Okay, cool, perfect. Hi everyone. Yes, my name is Olivia, and while I was thinking of like what could be the most helpful thing to tell you, well, I came to this, telling you my whole life story, but mostly the parts relevant to restoration. So as Carla introduced, I am from Oxnard and had previously no experience with relieving outdoors. I'm gonna kind of spoiler alert, I work in the Santa Monica Mountains as well. But before then, I didn't even know that the Santa Monica Mountains were a thing. So, but we'll go more into this soon. So leaving high school, I graduated in 2017. I knew two things. I wanted to go far away from home, and I guess I liked bio and chemistry. So I did some Googling and I found that biochemistry was a thing. I had no idea what it was, but one of the schools that popped up was a school that I ended up going to. I attended UC Berkeley for my undergrad and was super set on majoring in biochem. But luckily in the College of Letters and Science, they don't let you declare your first year. So I never was fully committed. I was just taking those lower division courses. And my first 2 years were much less than graceful. I had a really, really rough time. When Alan was speaking earlier, it really resonated with me. Moving away from home, away from community, were very intense experiences. Not to mention the Bay Area housing market, that is ridiculous. But it ended up reflecting in my schoolwork. I had to take the second physics portion 3 times. I failed my OChem classes once each. It was a rough time, but I was feeling very lost and mostly not having a fun time. And as we know, the global pandemic began in 2020, and that further, intensified things. But part of the requirements for Letters of Science is to speak to a faculty member before declaring your major. And at this point, I knew I wasn't going to be in biochem, but I took a course called Animal Behavior, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of fun. We were watching, Nat Geo clips on YouTube, and I was like, this brings back my memories from when I was younger and was like really interested in this stuff, but never got the chance to really look into. So I spoke to my professor as my faculty member to advise me to declare that major. And she ended up having this opportunity available, sort of. She passed my name on to one of her grad students who's doing research on chipmunks in the high Eastern Sierra Nevada. And he reached out and told me about the application process, and I applied and ended up being very fortunate enough to hang out with some chipmunks for a whole summer. So that was cool. We camped out for a month out by kind of in Mammoth for a little bit, but it was mostly next to Mono Lake. So we would set trap lines all across the, terrain typical of this habitat out in the backcountry. And we would sit in the cold, in the rain, in the hail, and wait for time to pass, go check our chipmunk traps, and then they were, live traps. So we would just measure their tails and their ears and let them go on their way. So I also, spent time making bait, which is oats and called peanut butter. Never, I can't tell you how it tasted, but there's some views of the places I'm looking at. Like, this is gorgeous. And it's on the side is, just above the tree line, and these were the miserable days, especially when it was, but all a great experience. Here on the left is the guy who I'm also very good friends with, and
Olivia, you still there? Okay, we have temporarily lost Olivia due to technical difficulties. Sorry, you guys. Stand by as we fix. Olivia, we cannot hear you.
okay, there can we, yeah. Okay, perfect. My
think
Wi-Fi
you're
is
muted.
unmuted. But yeah, back.
I can hear.
Okay. Cool. Let's continue. I guess if you can't hear me anymore, you can put in the chat. But yeah, you're good. Okay. So yeah, versus here on the right, I have a picture of myself holding this little harvest mouse, and introduced to bird watching and herping and mammal tracking. So it was really, really incredible experience. I also took like ecosystems of California, where we got a field-based class where we would just hikes and learn how. Great experience. Lecture-based course style is not for me. So out in the field, very nice, especially at a time where we were mostly inside. So I also have food, culture, and the environment listed here because I am involved with the community garden at home, who also champions food sovereignty. So this is something I always think about, even in consideration of native plants, and it's just very influential to think about. But here I have highlighted ecological ecology, and that's a class that ended up pushing me toward thinking about native plants. But because then I hadn't really considered, again, I didn't really spend much time outdoors. This is very new to me. So as let me see, I would. Sorry, I have no idea why I keep on getting kicked off. But yeah, I just got back on. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try sharing screen again. If not, can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. A program that counted towards units, again, as it's been like a frequent theme of this panel here, these jobs in environmental work are very elitist and have a lot of barriers because this did not pay at all. But and I was fortunate enough to have financial aid at the time, and so I was able to do it. I was also working previously as a martial arts instructor, so that was, that's where some income was coming from. But I worked as an apprentice for a couple months in a lab. We did some stable isotope nitrogen stuff. So basically, we're just trying to figure out where plants are getting their nitrogen from. And turns out they're getting some of it from bedrock, which is really cool, but I won't go into that now. So here we have me with my lab mate back here. I was doing some neutralizing of an acid bath before pouring it. And then on the right is me and the grad student Kelsey, who I'm also very good friends with. We're doing some foliage sampling from Pacific Madrone, which if you haven't had the chance to see this tree, it's so beautiful. But here we are. We did a bunch of soil sampling, and as you can see on the right, we had some late nights collecting water samples. But once I graduated, I ended up graduating in 2021 with my BA in integrated biology, and I was offered to extend my apprenticeship and convert it to a job full-time as a lab and field technician for the same lab. So I got to spend the summer out in Mendocino County doing field work at the Eel River, collecting roots and soil from Douglas firs and surrounding ecosystems and habitats. And there we go. But ultimately, I did not, it's unsurvivable in the Bay Area to be being paid the amount I was being paid. I could not, really keep up with rent, and I missed home. I missed being in community. So I left with no plan, which again is a privilege because I got to come back and home and, not worry about rent for a little bit. So I was able to get a position with the Santa Monica Mountains Fund as a restoration tech. Everybody who's mentioned SAMO Fund before this, I work with you, so shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. And we, in our first field season, or in my first field season with them, I assisted in the planting of 50,000 native plants and the management of the sites, nursery work. And yeah, at this time, I loved thinking about all the moving parts of these ecosystems, and I started thinking about some potential research. And currently I am the lead for the Mission Monarch project, but was co-leading with Ariel Wilson, who is pictured here. We do a bunch of outreach events and tabling, and this year we assisted in the distribution of over 6,000 narrow leaf milkweed plants to community, and are hoping to continue to do work like this in the future. So here's some pictures from out in the field that I've taken. Got to see some caterpillars and monarchs and a bunch of all the pollinators too. So currently I'm at CSU Dominguez Hills doing my master's in bio, and I'm also thinking about grassland restoration, but from the microbial way. And it was kind of a perfect situation. I had this background in soil science and I was working in grassland restoration. What really pushed me to go for it was that this project was already funded, so I didn't have to worry about paying for grad school. But I almost didn't apply because I just didn't see myself in this setting, and was also a little traumatized from my undergrad experience, but ended up trying to find out what being in academia means to me. And this is a very nuanced topic that I won't get into now, but it is something that I debate with myself on a daily basis, because I do think that academia and even current restoration practices are very extractive and sometimes exploitative of land and people, oftentimes exploitative of land and people. So I just am trying to navigate how being in these fields and doing research, what that means to me. But Some advice I have for you is you don't have to know everything to be in your field of interest. Enthusiasm and willingness to learn go a long way. So, before going out and working as a chipmunk technician, had never even seen a chipmunk before, I didn't know, I had never worked in restoration or worked with native plants before the Santa Monica Mountains Fund Restoration Project. But ultimately, if you want to learn, you're going to find someone who's going to want to teach you. And there's no such thing as the right path. I give my path as an example, but it's no way a standard or cookie cutter thing of what you should work towards. And that being said, here's my email. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out about anything, what it's like to apply to undergrad, or if you want to learn more about community roots, and they're awesome in Oxnard, please reach out. We can get you connected there too. If you have any questions about SAMO funds, I can probably answer them too. But yes, thank you. I can take questions now too, if anyone has any. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. No, Carlos. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah.
All right, you guys, we're getting close to the end of our career panel. I'll be the next speaker. Hello. I just want to go really quick through my experience getting into this world of restoration. I was born in Durango, Mexico. And I came here when I was 7. So I unfortunately grew up and went to school as an undocumented person, but I think that's an extra challenge if that is your journey in this field. Luckily, nowadays there's a lot more opportunity for people, with the DREAM Act and DACA, which is really awesome because it really paves the way for people. So I just want you guys to stay encouraged. It can be difficult, but there are ways. You just have to be persistent. Like many people have said today, you really have to hustle sometimes to make things work and to really find a path in this field. I want to share with you guys some opportunities that are coming up with Santa Monica Mountains Fund. We have an internship. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. We have an internship coming up. Here's the contact information. Joey Algiers, our restoration ecologist, whom Javi had mentioned earlier today. He would be the main contact if you're interested in interning with the Santa Monica Mountains Fund. There are 3 things you want to submit. A letter of intent that explains what do you hope to gain from the internship and what can you contribute. You want to submit a resume and 3 professional references. Our internship programs runs for 13 weeks and there is a stipend where it's $2,960 total for the 13 weeks. Our next internship will begin February 9th. And we have internships rolling around throughout the year. So if you don't necessarily, join this upcoming internship, there are more opportunities every 4 months. So it's just a matter of being on the lookout for when the internship opportunities come up. We try to stay connected with colleges and we try to post up the opportunities on our SAMO Fund Instagram page. So you can expect to see the future internship opportunities coming up. And the stipend is based upon, you know, how much funding we have. So if you don't make it in a certain semester, but you still want to participate, we do have volunteer internships. So you don't necessarily get the stipend, but you can still participate in the internship. But if you want to wait, you can also wait until the next time it rolls around. You do have to provide your own transportation to Rancho Sierra Vista, but then at the work site, you do have work vehicles, government work vehicles to get to different places. So it's really important that you have your driver's license. No experience is necessary. So if you're just like looking to switch careers and you're trying to find like an introductory sort of position, this is a really good place to start. And as a lot of people mentioned, this internship was a part of their journey. And again, if you are a DACA recipient, please consider this opportunity. Don't be discouraged. I know a lot of, you know, places say you got to be a citizen or resident, but DACA recipients are welcome to apply. And again, this opportunity is open to everyone. We're hoping to interview for the upcoming internship in February. We want to interview throughout January. And I think the next time we will interview is June, July. So again, just look out in the SAMU Fund page, Instagram page. And just to highlight a lot of the resources and agencies that participated here today. All these things around, oh my gosh. There are so many more organizations that we didn't you know, speak with today, but it's really important to know who's out there in your community, whether in LA or in Ventura. It's really important to know who's around you so that you know where to pursue opportunities. And the pursuit of opportunities can be as easy as just going to a certain agency and looking at their career, you know, careers section for employment. As I understand, California Botanic Garden is currently hiring, Tree People is currently hiring, and they also partner with AmeriCorps to provide internships for people. Palo Verde's Peninsula Conservancy was hiring recently, as well as South Coast Botanic Garden. And as Daniel mentioned, Santa Barbara Botanic Garden has the summer internships. Theodore Payne is currently hiring. Community Nature Connection internships are coming up. SAMU Youth internships are coming up. SAMU Fund internships are also coming up. So just get familiar with these agencies, visit their web pages, understand their mission, and put yourself out there. There are many opportunities. And as we highlighted, it's really important, especially for BIPOC individuals who have been excluded, you know, as we mentioned, through distance or, you know, through other barriers. It's really important to maintain community. So if you guys identify as BIPOC, there is an Instagram page that you guys can follow. And it's like a group of network of people who are also in the field of restoration. So if you guys would like to, I would highly recommend that you guys join this group on Instagram. So we've come to the end of our career panel, and I wanted to thank everybody for sticking all the way through. I know that was a lot, you know, 2.5 hours, but I really hope that this was useful and helpful to everybody who was here today. And thanks again to all the speakers, because each and every single story that you guys shared today is super important for people to hear. So thank you guys. And if there are any questions I can answer, if you guys want to talk about anything, you know, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I have a not a question, but more like a comment or like an idea to put out of like, I know a lot of these conferences are like very white and stuff, these these conservation conferences. Has anyone or thought about creating a POC run conference? You know, even if it's not necessarily backed by, you know, these institutions. And if so, I would totally like to be in the loop. So, and if not, then that's maybe something that conversation we can all, whoever was interested, have or something. So
Awesome. That's a really great point. Thanks, Javier.
Carla, we have some questions in the chat about the recording. It was asked if participants will be able to view that at some point.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you that well. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, of course. Will participants be able to view the recording?
Yeah, so we're going to post the recording on the SAMO Fund webpage and the SAMO Fund YouTube page. So we'll post it out on our SAMO Fund Instagram when it is out, so that people can rewatch it if there's anything that they missed. Or for people who weren't able to make it today.
Cool. And then I think there was one more question. Oh, could you also share contact information?
Oh, very true. Yes, I will put it in the chat.
And that's about it in the chat.
Awesome. So great to meet everybody. Thank you guys for being here. This was very exciting. Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Carla, for putting this together.
Hearts all around. All right, well, I guess this is it. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys at the next event. Javier, we will keep in contact.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hello.
Y'all are still here?
The after party.
Yeah, we're here.
After party!
Yeah.
I'm not leaving yet.
It's the after panel. So.
The after
Exactly.
panel, got it.
Peace out.
Yeah, you guys, thanks again.
All right, thank you, Carla, for sending this up.
Our youth students back to the high school, so.
Peace, love, prosperity.